Hello everyone, Helen here. How are you today? I do hope you're okay. Thank you very much for stopping by to join me today in my craft room, where I've got one main project to show you today. Well, there is another one, very small one. I'll show you it as well, but there's one I've been working on for the last couple of weeks or so, and probably more than that actually, and it's all finished now. I'm really excited to show that to you. And I'm also going to chat a little bit to you about the Girls Own annual Girls Own paper magazine and share a bit of that, kind of a bit of a variety of things. More about that later. I think I shall dive straight into my main project that I want to share with you today, which is a hand sewing one. And it's this beautiful box bag. I really am very pleased with it. I was inspired to make it after I'd watched Lily on Lily and the Bee. I think I mentioned that when I was talking about doing the embroideries for it. But she does a whole podcast, or tutorial really, a very nice tutorial, different to the usual in that she just chats all the time. But honestly, everything is explained so well. I didn't need to ask any further questions. I managed to do it all by myself, and I'm really proud of the fact that I've ended up with a bag. So I had already shown you the embroideries that I'd done, so they were one very tiny part of this whole bag project. And although I hadn't been entirely pleased with my embroidery efforts, I actually like them much better now that they're in amongst other things. So I think it's really good. So I was determined not to buy anything for this project and just use fabric that I had. So really I'd wanted a plain background for the panels on the sides, but I didn't have anything suitable. So I used this spotty, and I think these patchwork, these hexagon flowers would show up better on a plain background, but they're okay really. And then for the inside, I found some beautiful fabric with little chicks on, and I wanted to use that for the lining, but I only had enough for 2 of the squares, so I did manage to find just enough of a pale yellow for the other 2 sides inside, so that's fine. And in fact, the chicky fabric, I had just a very small amount of it left, and I decided that I would make it into a pocket. So I have actually got a pocket inside my bag as well, so I'm very pleased about that. And I found some nice shiny green ribbon for the loops around the top, and in fact I did have to buy one thing because I didn't have any cord at all, and I did want some sort of rope-like cord, so I bought this green, which is perfect for it. And so that was good. So Lily gave all sorts of helpful tips as she went along through her tutorial, and one of them, which was really good, was that because I'd done my embroidery on quite thin fabric, the backing from the side panel would have shown through if I hadn't done what Lily said, which was to cut out a little hexagon of wadding to put behind, and it makes it slightly puffy as well, so that's quite nice. And I was so pleased with the fabrics that I found to go for the hexagons around each one. So 2 of my embroideries are birds, and for this one I found these little birds here that I picked out and put some tiny little flowers there as well. And then the other one, this was amazing. I was so pleased about this. I'd done an embroidery of the tiny bird and a birdhouse, not even knowing that I had some fabric with little birdhouses on. How perfect is that? And that was just given to me actually by lovely Angela, who watches my podcast. So I was so pleased about that. And then the other 2 sides have got little bunny rabbits on. So I just had recently bought some fabric with carrots on, which was perfect. And then I had some of this woodland fabric that I picked out 3 of the animals to go around the other bunny embroidery. And yes, it all went fairly smoothly, really. And the first 2 side panels that I made, put them all together, perfect, no problem at all. I was working on the 3rd one, and I just sandwiched everything together, done the sewing all the way around, turned it the right side out, sewn up the side, and what did I realise? I'd missed out the ribbon. I'm sure it's easily done. So I had to undo the bit that I'd stitched up, turn it all inside again, unpick some stitching from the top and put the ribbon in. Anyway, never mind. Maybe I'll learn from it, maybe I won't. So yeah, I'm so pleased with it. I put a little, I can't remember if I said this, I put a little cord grip there so that it means, because this ribbon is quite slippy, it means that when I want it closed, it'll stay closed there. And at the moment, inside the lovely big square base, by the way, I've done squares that are the 10-inch squares, which I think is 24 centimetres square, so that's quite roomy. And just open it out properly, and then in here I've just got piles of my quilt as you go squares, which are going to be turned into cushion covers for the camper van. And so I know that this bag is going to get lots of use, because it's a bit of a different shape to other ones that I've got. I like the way that you can open it out and have it as a square bin. If I do another one, I might use some slightly firmer wadding so that it stands up less floppily. But it's okay. I'll just undo it properly and show you, it will stand up like that. So, so yeah, I think it's all good. And I'll leave a link in the description box to the tutorial that I followed from Lily and the Bee. So there we go. Oh, lovely bag. And then I said that I'd done a very small project, which is really small. And I don't know if this is going to make me sound a bit weird, but I'll tell you anyway. When I got a new phone I think it was last November or something, when I unpacked it, there was a bit of quite thick foam stuff that was just used as packing. It was the same size as my phone. And so I left it on the kitchen table, and I started using that as a place to put my phone down when I went and sat at the kitchen table, or if I was working in the kitchen, just somewhere to put it. And that was really good, I thought. So one day I thought, do you know what? I think I might make a little mat for my phone instead of having this just piece of white foam. So with my enthusiasm for patchwork and English paper piecing, I decided to do another little project, and I have created a little mat for myself, for my phone, really. And yeah, so I did actually use hexiform hexagons. When I used them last time for my diary cover, I said I wasn't going to use them again, but I've got some to use up, so it would be silly just to waste them. And in fact, this time it was easier because I didn't fold the fabric round quite so tightly, so it was easier to sew them together. I did remember about getting a straight edge this time, and I used some half hexagons on each end there. And so I left the hexiform shapes in because I just wanted it to be a nice sort of rigid structure, and I added another layer of wadding, and then a piece of this lovely pink Paddington fabric, which I put around the back, and then folded it under at the front, a bit like the same as the quilt as you go method. So I didn't need a separate edging for it, and that's worked really well. I even did little mitered corners, so I was quite proud of those. And I just love having that there on the kitchen table now, and it just means I'm not putting my phone accidentally onto some crumbs or a sticky patch that nobody's noticed. So yeah, and that's it for making today. And as I say, I am working on the cushions as well. I'll update you on those next time I chat about making. But yeah, just so for the rest of today's podcast, I'm just going to chat a little bit about One of the other things that I love, which is old books, and particularly books which are absolutely packed full of social history. And this is the Girls' Own Annual. It actually says Girls' Own Paper on it, and that's because it was originally a magazine. Well, it did come out as a magazine called Girls' Own Paper, which started in January 1880. And then they started producing an annual, which was from September of the previous year to, or October of the previous year to September of whatever current year they were in. And they would put them all together, and obviously expected that people might like to give them to girls and young ladies for Christmas presents. And the Girls' Own kept going right from 1880 to 1956 in one form or other. Originally it was a weekly magazine that came out, and then at a later date, I think in 1907, it became a monthly. The first editor actually wasn't a woman, it was a man, and he had a very very good sort of philosophy behind what he wanted the magazines to achieve. So this first editor, Charles Peters, said that he wanted to foster and develop that which was highest and noblest in the girlhood and womanhood of England by putting the best things first and banishing the worthless from its pages. So I love that. When he died in 1907, he was taken over by a lady, Flora Clickman, who was the editor for quite a number of years. I can't remember how long for, but yeah, she did a good job. It was her who decided to change it from a weekly to a monthly magazine. But she more or less had the same aims as there'd always been, with obviously what she thought were some, modern, up-to-date things. But it's just filled with such a variety of things that today I wanted to give you a flavour of the whole variety of things that were included in these early Girls' Own magazines. And I'm going to chat to you about a variety of things, and then I'm going to focus on a couple of particular things that I thought you'd be interested in, which is there was a knitting competition that I thought you might like to hear a bit more about, and also I'm going to read you from some of the problem pages, which are not like modern problem pages, but fascinating all the same. So I'm going to read you some of those, and then I will come back and say goodbye. The Girls' Own Paper was a great success right from the start. If we take a closer look at my Girls' Own Annual for October 1887 to September 1888, we'll find a huge variety of articles. These include advice on the fashions of the day and what should be worn in different seasons and for different occasions, current fashions in bags, cooking, for example, how to cook rabbits, or choosing cuts of meat. There was news about the Girls' Own Paper's own charity, which was aiming to set up a convalescent home. The objectives for the charity were to rent or purchase a cottage and garden by the sea, and to fit it up for the reception of girls overworked in mind and body, to give a fortnight of rest and pure air free of expense to such. There were articles on history and places of interest, travel and information about places further afield than England, medical conditions and medical advice, music that could be played on the piano or other instruments. Young ladies could read about music, such as which were the latest music publications or analyses of particular works. There was nature, needlework, science, such as an article about the microscope and another about astronomy. The magazine liked to give advice on how to behave, such as keeping one's self-control and behaving in an unselfish manner. There was often some poetry and always many stories, originally running as weekly episodes, with intriguing titles such as Restitution or Miser and Spendthrift, One Little Vein of Dross, and Victory is in Truth. There was usually a competition with quite generous prizes on offer. There was an essay writing competition and a competition to compose a piece of music. This one was inviting girls to set a poem to music, and prize winners even had their piece published in the magazine. There were needlework competitions like this one, a prize competition in plain needlework, clothing for the poor, which reports to us that the clothing competition consisted of 400 articles sent by 394 competitors. For many of our kind-hearted girls sent 2 or 3 extra garments out of mere sympathy for their suffering little brothers and sisters. The judges have every reason to be satisfied with the competition, as the average work is excellent, though in special classes there is still much to be desired. In the competition we numbered girls from most of the colonies, including New Zealand, South Africa, and New South Wales. And in view of the want and suffering during the approaching winter, we have arranged for the competition to be repeated, and for the things to be sent in up to the first Wednesday in February 1888, so that our girls will still be able to add their mites to the usual flow of Christian charity at Christmastide. And there are some reports here on what the work sent in was like. So, age 9, there was 1 competitor, and the work was excellent for her age. But at age 10, 1 competitor, gathering and stitching, both good. Age 11, 1 competitor, pretty good, not so remarkable as the younger ones. Age 12, 11 competitors, work generally good, though not so good as the work of the younger girls. Age 13, 12 competitors, the work of prize winners and certificates beautiful, hemming particularly good, also feather stitching and buttonholes. They held a knitting competition to provide woolen items for fishermen, and I thought you'd like to hear a few more details about this particular competition. Our new prize competition in needlework, mission to the deep sea fishermen, prizes to the amount of £22 and 1 shilling. The editor has decided on a knitting competition as one most likely to be of general interest to the readers of the girls' own paper, an interest which will be doubled when the object to which the articles are to be devoted is announced, i.e., the mission to deep sea fishermen. There are few people who have not heard of the large fleets of fishing vessels which labour to supply our markets by plying their dangerous and arduous profession in the North Sea. 12,000 souls are estimated to be the number, and the mission to deep-sea fishermen was instituted some few years ago to send out mission vessels which should supply these men with Christian preaching and Christian service in sickness and in health. One way of helping them to bear the cold and exposure of their hard lives is to make them warm knitted articles of stout wool to protect them from such evils as cracks on the skin or the sore known as sea blister. This latter is produced by the sea water reaching the open wounds, which are often made on the wrists by the constant rubbing of the hard edges of the oilskins they wear to protect them from the incessant wetting of the sea water. Warm stockings and socks are required, and the woolen helmets are much sought after. For these, instructions are given, which are plain and easily worked, and also the address of a firm of kindly merchants who allow a discount especially on wool purchased of them for this object. From them all materials, needles, etc. can be procured. We have added men's socks and cuffs to the list, and we hope all our workers will remember that it is men for whom they are knitting, and not to send us anything too small for their use, nor too badly shaped to be worn. So far as possible, every article will be judged with its own class, so that all may gain the advantage of good and laborious work, in addition to being judged with those of their own age. For those who cannot knit, we shall make special arrangements for judging crochet, like the knitting. Comforters, cuffs, and mittens can all be made in crochet and will be accepted. Shall I add one more word to spur my dear girls on to do their best in this competition? So much valued and so highly prized among the fishermen are the woolen article that kind hands make for them, and so much do they evidently add to the comfort of their hard lives, that they make at their prayer meetings a special prayer that God would bless the kind ladies who knit the warm things that give them so much comfort. The editor offers a prize of 1 guinea to girls of every age. That is, 1 guinea will be awarded to the girl of the age of 9, who shall have been most successful in her efforts, another guinea to the girl of 10 years, and so on to competitors of the age of 30 years. In this way the editor will award prizes to the amount of 21 guineas. Certificates of the first, second, and third classes will also be awarded. The last day for receiving the work is Michaelmas Day, 1888. Each piece of work must have stitched upon it the name of the worker and the certificate of a parent, minister, or teacher, certifying the age and the work to be that of the competitor only. The age of the worker must be sent as stated above, but it will not be printed in our pass lists. The girls' own paper had an answers to correspondence page, written by an adviser rather different from the agony ants of later years. The letters themselves are not printed, and topics were very varied, though nothing of too personal a nature. Here are a few examples. A believer. We see no harm in your leisure hours to read instructive books. Quite the contrary. Pray for grace to restrain your bad temper. You will not improve the boy's manners and disposition by letting him see you lose your self-control. Try to interest and amuse him. Kindness will probably have a better effect on him than crossness. If you profess to be a follower and disciple of Christ, he says you must learn of him and let your light shine before others in your conduct. Maud. Look for an article in one of our early volumes called Earning One's Living. You may find a suggestion there. Whether you could support yourself as an artist, of course, we are unable to judge. This branch of your education is the only one you name. Perhaps the Englishman's Yearbook might give you assistance in directing your attention to situations or occupations for which you would do well to prepare yourself. Your decision is a very wise one. Clematis. The best cure for self-consciousness is to devote your thoughts, time, and services to others in little things, for you may never have the power to do more than very little things, such as kindly attentions to those around you. You will then have no time for being shy or thinking of yourself at all. Mary. Wipe the mildew carefully away from the books injured by damp, and proceed to remove the spots of iron mould by applying a solution of sulphuret of potash to render the iron soluble, and after that a solution of oxalic acid, citric acid, or tartaric acid, remembering that the first named is a dangerous poison. The writing on the margins may be extracted by the application of the same acids, without thereby removing the printing. Dewdrop. The shiny appearance of your diagonal cloth, occasioned by wear, may be removed by the application of fuller's earth moistened with lemon juice, mixed with pulverized pearl ash, the mixture being rolled into balls. Scour the cloth well with them, raise the nap with a teasel, and then brush it the right way. One who loves Ireland should learn to spell before attempting to write a letter. We have rarely seen worse. We are glad to see that she is religiously minded. Beatrice St. Clair. Amusements are only sinful when they stand between us and our duty, or when our minds are so absorbed by them as to prevent our dwelling on better things, and likewise when they do harm to others. But we must remember the homely proverb of all work and no play, and its effect on Jack, and so unite our pleasures and our work wisely. Home duties come before anything else, for which we have our Lord's own example during 33 years of his life. Miss Cochrane. The cat should not be deprived of all her kittens. Leave her one till the latter be able to feed like herself, and then find a home for it. Otherwise, remove the kittens at the moment they are born. Cannot see, etc. There seems to be some defect in your circulation. Try a short course of Turkish baths and a residence at the seaside. Possibly the pores of the skin are in fault and do not act freely. Shadrach. Sleepwalkers should never be wakened while out of bed. They should be led gently back and then wakened and scolded for having got up. If this do not prove effectual in breaking the habit, they should be tied to the bed and candle and matches placed beyond their reach. Also, there should be no exciting conversation nor exciting book read before going to bed. Kathleen. Try the use of Fuller's Earth to remove the oil stain from the carpet, or carpet soap. If these prove inefficient, consult a chemist and procure from him what he may recommend. AD should take her bath tepid and use plenty of friction afterwards, keeping herself covered with a bath sheet. So this was just a small selection of what you can find in this old publication, but hopefully you can see how the Girls' Own gives us the chance to travel back to any date we choose from 1880 onwards to get the feel of what it was like for young ladies from comfortable backgrounds at the time, to read the stories, taste the food, play the music, or even, if you wish, to make and wear the clothes. Altogether, it's just a wonderful time capsule. So there are so many interesting things, aren't there, to learn in these old books. And yes, I will be sharing more with you, probably not from this one, but some from other years that I've got as well. And just before I go today, I want to tell you about a new project that I've started. And this was prompted by me buying something, not for the project that I'm actually doing, but I decided to buy another thing. I've bought many things from Martine Brummel. She's got a folksy shop called Mulberry Green? She makes the most beautiful dolls. I have got 4 of her dolls already and some of the clothes, and she started making some mice, which of course I couldn't resist. And so the first 2 mice, these 2 little ones, and then a few months ago Martine decided to start making the mice out of a different fabric, out of felt, instead of this. I'm not sure what this is, stretchy. I'm not sure what the fabric is, but anyway, so I decided I just had to have one of these new ones as well. And when I saw that this little mouse was actually, well, all of the mice have got a little backstory. All of the dolls live in a place called Mulberry Green, and these mice, which I'm wanting to call the Nibbles. Was that the bunnies? No, that's my knitted bunnies. Oh dear, I'll put it on the screen what these mice are called. A complete memory blank. Yeah, anyway, so she started making these mice, and they have a story. I think they live under a barn in Mulberry Green, but they all do different things and they all have a different story. And 3 of the mice in this little village, one of which is Emmeline, who I bought, they run a haberdashery shop. So when I ordered my little mouse, not only did she come with her gorgeous little fluffy cardigan and beautiful dress, and another little dress, she also came with some little haberdashery items, some tiny threads and a tape measure and things. And so I thought, do you know what? I've just got to make a little craft shop for my Emmeline to live in now that she's moved here. And so that's what I've decided to do. So over on my wall over there, the house-shaped shelves, which I've always just used them as shelves. I've never set them up as a doll's house or anything. And I've decided to make that into the Woodland Craft Shop. So I've already made a start. So I took everything off it, obviously. I've added some wallpaper. Well, it's not really wallpaper, some of my decorative papers. And then what else have I done? And so I had a few bits and bobs of things that would go into a miniature shop. But I did buy a shop counter. I'm just looking at it to remind myself. And I did buy a big round table because the top floor is going to be the shop, and in the bottom floor there's a little bedroom for Emmeline, and there's going to be a room which is for the craft club to meet in. So I can't wait to show you what I've been doing. I've been doing a few bits and bobs for it already. It is very time consuming to make tiny things, but I'm going to have a lot of fun making it, and I promise I'll keep you up to date with that. But I think that's all about it for today. And I'll leave a link to Martine's Folksy shop in the description box, because yes, if you're in the market for a beautiful doll or some little mice, I can highly recommend them. But I think that's all for today. Next week I'm actually going to give you a tour of my craft room, so you'll be able to see what I've been doing, all the sorting that I've been doing, and so I hope you'll enjoy seeing that next week. But until I see you again, keep yourself nice and busy, not too busy, and take great care of yourself. I'll be back again very soon. Okay then, bye.